Thank you for staying with us on the AM show. Let's now talk about Ghana's economic crisis. And we have that debate to oust Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta, which commences today. And Parliament will be debating or talking about that motion of censure filed by the Minority Leader Haruna Idrisu for the removal of the Minister of Finance Ken Ofori-Atta. The Minority Leader is alleging that he directly benefits from Ghana's economic woes because his companies receive commissions as far as Ghana's debt overhang is concerned. Now, closely linked to that is another call by the minority for Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Ernest Addison, to resign. Today, we discuss these with Roxanne Nelson Dafiamepo, Member of Parliament, South Dai, also a member of the Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee. We also have from the ruling administrations and Collins Adoma-Komenta, Member of Parliament, Ifijakwa Bre North. He is also a member of the Finance Committee of Parliament. And joining the conversation, adding some academic spice to it, Dr. Kwame Asah-Sante, political scientist at the University of Ghana. He is also head of the Center, director of the Center for European Studies. I would like to say a very good morning to Dr. Kwame Asah-Sante. Good morning, Doc.
Good morning, Ben, and good morning to the honorable members of Parliament.
Okay. And to you, Collins and Roxanne, a very good morning to you.
Morning, and morning to my brother, to yourself, to my people in South Dine, Peki, Pali, Prevetongo. Saturday, the AP Church will be celebrating 175 years of missionary work.
Okay.
Which began from Peki on 14th November 1847. And so we are inviting all of you to come and join us.
Okay.
To come and join the Nyanyue Hamela.
I think after the Hogbe Chuchos, more and more people are, excited to come into the Volta region and participate.
No, but Hogbe Chucho has always been such a seminar annual.
I am not saying that it is not. I'm merely saying that the participation, and of course,
it's always been
this year was
it's always special. But you look at the color when the Gamanche, the Otumfuo and others just converged on the place. It added some spice, and I'm saying that it has just given more life.
Let me tell you. In 1993, it was more special.
Okay.
Because the chiefs of Nochie.
Okay. Oh, that's interesting.
Yes, and some other
from Togo, right?
Yes. That time was Togo Adelaja was alive, and JJ was in the height of his rule at the time. It was so special. You couldn't just drive between Angloga and Keta. You had to walk.
Wow.
Yeah, and that time the road has been freshly done.
Okay, so you get what he means, right? I mean, to the point where there was little space to even move.
So it was so well. I was young then in science school. We just read.
There's always something nostalgic about.
No, we just read our O levels and then test sixth form,
right?
And so, but yes, I agree that what happened last week was momentous because of the historical relationship. So. Right. We are building a nation. There's the need for cohesion.
Quick question. Since you've brought all of this up, I'll come to you, Collins, for any salutations you have for your constituency and any special people. But what do you think this does for, there's always been this talk about Ashanti Ebe relations and all of that. I mean, a lot of people don't even know how far back Anglo-Ashanti relations go. And I felt this was a very good highlighting point. Yes. But what do you think this does for national unity, national cohesion? Very briefly on that.
Yeah, very fantastic. As the MP for South Dine and as the MP for the people of Peki in particular, if we come to my constituency, about 70% of the people have account names. In fact, my mother had an account name. My mother was Akotoa.
Okay.
And my uncles, they are called Obin. You understand? So, and if you see the people, if you see the Peki people, they are like Ashantis. And there's that historical connection. In fact, they do things like Ashantis do, the way the Ashantis do their things.
Right.
Culture, everything, lineage, everything. But they are unalloyed Avis. If you get to Peki, about 80% of the people have Akan names.
Right.
You know, so even the people who are the kingmakers, they have Akan names.
That runs across the Volta region.
You know, especially
all the way into Oti, what is now the Oti region.
So it means that there's been that historical relationship and interconnectedness, culturally, historically, even politically.
Right.
You know, so the latter day sense should cease.
Okay. Point made on that score. Collins, good to have you. Good to have you.
Good to have you. It's been a while.
It has.
Yeah, it's been a while. And good morning to my very good friend and Vandal.
You met?
Sharp.
I guess you guys are forgetting I'm an old Vandal too.
Oh, you met?
So wait. Dr. Asasanti, don't tell me you're an old Vandal.
I'm an unrepented vandal.
Hey! No, this one, we must investigate my producer. You have put 4 vandals on.
So let me wait.
Hey!
Yeah.
I like that. He said he's an unrepentant vandal.
Yes.
And the producer himself, the producer of this show,
Yes.
my boss, Derek Ekosam, guess what?
It's a vandal. Today is a Vandal's Day.
It's a Vandal Day. Please go ahead, Colin.
And greetings to my constituents. I call my employers. And I have this very special perspective to this whole Ashanti Ewe conversation.
Ewe, not Ewe.
Ewe. You know, my stepdad is Ewe.
It's Ewe.
My stepdad is Ewe. And this is the second time I'm saying this. I wish he was my father. Fantastic stepfather. He never made me feel like a stepson. In fact, my wife is Ewe. So this whole conversation...
You are unrepentant.
Although I'm 100% Ashanti. And so this whole conversation about Ashanti, don't like, I don't buy that at all. What happened over the weekend was a beautiful display of tradition. And if you listen to the Asantehene, the Awomefia, the chief from the Gamanche. Interesting, the Gamanche was born in Ashanti region.
Yeah.
Born in Kumasi, grew up in Kumasi. And if you listen to them and the history and the kind of connection they have, it makes nonsense, excuse my language, of the whole idea of Evers not liking Ashantis and Ashantis don't liking Evers. I mean, I was so excited watching how tradition, chiefs and palanquins and speaking so beautifully. And I wish this continues. Of course, I was told that all hotels within the area were booked. Promotion.
Oh yeah, there was practically no.
Nowhere. So you can imagine the economic activity that went on between within this 1 week.
Yeah, Santahene's retinue alone.
You know, the buses.
About what, 500 or something like that.
Yeah, the buses that came.
No, I met the OA buses 30.
Yeah.
30 days done. When I was
the buses that came to
30 with
hotels,
military escort,
food. Yeah. So you can imagine
economic
the
benefits.
Economic. So this should continue.
Effect.
Yes, this should continue. And
I think we should replicate this. All the big festivals, you know, up north, down south. If we do this, I mean, some of these kings and paramount chiefs may not be able to attend all of them, but if we have that in-feeling, when I'm doing mine, you come. When you are doing yours, I think it would add to, tourism. Tourism, boost it.
If you recall, I think 2018, when Asantehene celebrated, 2019, when he celebrated his 20th anniversary.
Yes.
That one with attended. And some people, they were on social media lambasting him that he had gone to Koto, to the Asante, all those things. Yeah. But these are roadside talks.
Yes.
But you see, there are benefits. Yeah. You know, you see, Ghana, we are a nation state. A nation state in the sense that it's a conglomeration of a lot of other smaller states. So in the days of yore, these traditional dominions also had their special diplomatic relationships with other traditional authorities and empires and states before the white man came.
Yeah.
You know, so international diplomacy didn't start with the coming of the white man.
Yeah.
I mean, that is a very mysterious.
Yes.
So if you read your history well, you know that traditional authorities had relationships. That is why
we had systems from even before the great empires of Ghana.
I'm told there's a town called Kumasi in Anglo. one chief was
Oh yes, there are
a
these.
town
Yeah.
called Kumasi,
Yeah, yeah.
just as we have Anglong.
There's Mafi
Mafi
Kumasi.
Kumasi.
If you go to
Yes.
Mafi,
See?
Yeah.
you know.
So
Anyway, so interesting points made. Let me quickly bring in Dr. Asai Asante. Quick reactions to such activities, festivals that bring together the country. Quick reactions to that, and we'll proceed with a substantive conversation.
You see, I love the topic because this is what I've been yearning for over the years, that we should emphasize on things that put us together and de-emphasize things that divide us.
That put us aside.
All right. Why am I saying that? If you have studied your history very well, which I give thanks to my two professors, late Professor John Fenn and Professor Adu Fenning, and of course, Professor Agusia Perry, they gave me a sound foundation in history. If you look at the migration routes of some of these groups, you realize that we come from the same place. Take, for instance, among Akans and Gunjes, they all come from today, Mali, isn't it? All right. One group of people. And then when we came here, the groups came here, they also joined forces through marriage, through, peace treaties and all that. All right, put us together. And one thing that we have not, averted our minds to is that we put a lot of emphasis on ethnic groups and all that. But you ask yourself that if I am to ask you right now, that go back to 3-4 generations and tell me how you can trace your lineage from your mother or your father's line. I tell you, beyond 3, you tell me that you don't know. So at a point in time, you settle somewhere and move on. So it tells you that, look, we should not put much emphasis on issue of things that divide us and rather put us together. There is a common history that put us together, and that is the political history of this country. Right. It is the only history that put us together. The rest, look, yes, we want to identify with our groups and all that, but the things that divide us, look, we don't need them. Because if you go to the migration route, there are a lot of groups that come from the same source. Right. So why are we fighting ourselves?
Good question. Good question. And I found it so beautiful, not just on the cultural level, but on the uniting level, and how we need to, like you said, we need to trumpet more of that and de-emphasize those things that actually separate.
Let me come in quickly with something, then we'll start our business. If you look at some of the groups, let's look at the Even Adan. There are 3 groups there. There is a Molebiawe, Tekpebiawe, Kabiawe. If you trace one of the groups, they trace their ancestry to an Akan group. The other one, proper Ganambe group, the other one, Ever group. All right. The MP was talking about Pekis. I have families who are in Pekis, and I tell you, you can understand why you have Akan names in there. All right. Recently, I spoke to one of the top MPP person, and I told him that I have my great grandfather left a will, and then the things that we see in that he traces his route toward Krobo land, and the man has been able to locate 2 homes there, which I'm likely to visit one day. What are we talking about? All right. We belong to all groups. Right. All right. We need to emphasize on things that put us together, and things that divide us. Even if we have different ethnic groups and all that, the important thing is that the corporate Ghana is what we need. We want to build it and see ourselves as what good people. Look at when we travel outside this country and we see a Ghanaian. We are not ready to look at where you come from in terms of ethnic. But the Ghanaian, the corporate name Ghanaian is what you are interested in. Somebody saw me in a smoke in Schiphol Airport, Amsterdam, and said, he came to me directly, he said, you are a Ghanaian. I said, I am. That's the spirit.
Now that you mentioned Schiphol Airport, I have quite some fond memories there. But the last time I was there, the third time,
you got lost.
Recently. No. I didn't get lost. Actually, the first time I met, was it the first or the second time? I met your general secretary. Okay. There. But this last time, which is recently, I actually met this Ghanaian. They have where you can join the rail.
Yes.
The
internal race.
I saw this, man, middle-aged man, maybe approaching 50, and he was one of those cleaning. So when I got there, I took a look at him. There's something about the look. A Nigerian can look at. We can even look and see this one will be Kenyan, this one will be South African. I took one good look at him, He asked us to excuse him because he was, but I said nothing. Later he was done and I called him and I said, you know, and it was very interesting. So indeed, correct. But let's get to the substantive matter. The economy. Some say it is in shambles right now. Others say, no, it is not. And we just need to take critical stock of where we are, put in the right measures, maybe get an IMF deal, and it will be sewn up. But looking at the economic crisis and the finance minister and this motion of censure or vote of censure and the debate to be held in Parliament, I'll start with you, Collins. What has led to this is the economic turmoil. So I was looking at the inflationary rate yesterday. 17 months back to back, inflation has been ticking up. And we're looking at an inflationary rate now of 40.4%. Some days before, yesterday, I had predicted that it would hit 40, and it did, because the way things are escalating, I don't think I need to tell you. When you look at the economy now, months ago we spoke.
Yes.
You shared your thoughts on the economy, fuel prices and all of that. Now diesel is 24 cedis. Petrol is 18 cedis and all of that. What do you see in the economy, and what do you think we can do, basically?
Well, what I see is what the president said. And the president was emphatic. He said, we are in crisis. So the president himself has admitted that we are in a situation where we quickly have to do something to salvage the situation. As for the censure, I'm sure my colleague, the NDC rep, will speak to it, because they are the people moving the motion. But of course, we must agree and accept that, yes, we are in crisis. The president, when he last spoke to Ghanaians, did indicate some 12 steps that the government intends to implement to help turn situations around. Yesterday, I listened to the gentleman would do the petrol guys. What's the name?
Duncan
Amoy's group.
Yeah.
COPEC. Right. Predicting that from next week
it will go down.
It will go down.
Right.
That was a sigh of relief for me.
Right. Because the predictions so far have been,
yes,
it's going up. It's going up. And honestly, Collins,
yes,
I have been praying. No, I mean, this is no, some will say it's no praying.
No, the point is that
when diesel hit 24, I had been praying that, look, something would happen for it too.
Yes.
Because
so
it's just...
So it's refreshing to hear that from next week, petrol prices will be going down. I'm aware, and the president did indicate, that government is in the process of getting other sources of fuel, which might be cheaper.
Some have said that is totally unrealistic. We've spoken to industry people, including Duncan himself.
I'm saying that.
Tell you about the.
But Russia is even selling at
the sheer impossibility.
But you know, Russia is selling at a reduced.
Oh yes, we know, and we brought up that in the conversation. But you also know the consequences of taking.
I'm saying that government is saying that they intend to get other sources which are cheaper to ensure that at least going forward the prices, the escalation will just come down. Fortunately, COPEC is predicting that from next week, things will stabilize. The dollar situation, the exchange rate situation over the last week has been quite stabilized, if you look at it. Right. When it shot up all the way to 15, when it was inching to the 16 area, was very square.
Hit 16.
Yes. Fortunately, now it's hovering around 13, and it's been so for the past 1 week or so. That is good news. The IMF...
But let me just hold you there. I'm sorry I'm interjecting. But when it comes to the 13 figure, as of yesterday, I mean, in the last week or so, you would see the Bank of Ghana put a figure of 13 point something there. But I'll go back to that placard at the Kumipreko demonstration. Someone said the Bank of Ghana has the rates, but Abuchi has the dollar.
But it's always
and the reality is, it's when you go out there, my brother, the business community, the one of the representatives of ABOA, the Edum business group, they said that, Masa, the Bank of Ghana is putting those rates out there. If you want the dollar and you go out there, you are not getting it for anything less than 14 cedis.
But what I'm saying is that it's always been so. Bank of Ghana rate has always been lower than what happens outside. But however, it gives an indication.
Right.
Yes. So, as I said, for the past week or two, it's been stabilized, which is quite okay for us. We're praying that going forward, the rates will even come down further.
Right.
We know that the IMF negotiation is ongoing. My indication is that, and even from the last statement from the finance ministry, they hope to have a staff agreement by the end of the year. Hopefully by first quarter next year, we should have a program in place. So these are all things that government is trying to push to ensure that we have a quick turnaround of the economy. The indicators are pointing towards a very interesting direction, which I'm happy about. The budgets...
I was just about to get to that. When
yes,
you spoke
the budget...
about first quarter of next year, because, you know, initially, I had interacted with Kristalina Georgieva, who had said that, look, hopefully by end of year, we want Ghana to get a package. That had been confirmed by our political, establishment. And now we're getting the indication that it may not necessarily...
Our political establishment, the statement that I read from the finance ministry was very clear. And they said by the end of the year, they hope to have a staff agreement.
Yes, which is what I am saying.
Yes, staff agreement.
Well, not necessarily a staff agreement. What I had heard was that hopefully by end of year we would have, an agreement, an IMF deal, which is why November 15 was pegged. I mean, officially, that is what the rules demand. But now that this has happened, let me just ask you, what does it do to our budget reading? Because...
For the budget reading, I'm told the IMF team will come in, and normally they have some thematic areas that they agree on,
right,
which will feed into the budget presentation. You don't necessarily have to wait for the program itself before you can read the budget. However, you can agree on some fundamental issues in principle,
right,
and that should feed into the budget reading. And I'm told the budget reading has been moved from 15th to the 24th, still within the constitutional mandate, but hopefully the agreement that is going to take place within these few days will have a positive reflection. Industry players and for us as politicians and everybody, we are looking at what the budget will indicate to us. And I'm sure the budget, this budget is a very, very important budget because it has to give an indication of government's intentions, of government programs, how government intends to cut expenditures and all that. So let's wait and see how it goes. But yes, the president was quite emphatic that we are in crisis. I am happy that so far after his pronouncement over the weekend, we've seen some positive reflection. As I said, COPEC is predicting a reduction in the fuel prices. Hopefully this will continue.
All right. Let me come briefly to Roxanne on this bit. The last time we spoke, I mean, you were bemoaning the problems in the economy. What has changed for you as an individual? What has changed for your constituents, for example, the people you represent? Briefly on that.
Now, nothing has changed. Things are rather deteriorated. Or in other words, the change has been a negative change. On 24th of March this year, 2022, on a Thursday morning, the finance minister issued a very long statement and termed it measures to recover the economy. In that statement, he indicated that we were having high inflation, we were having rapid deterioration of the city, general inflationary trend in terms of high prices of goods and commodities, and high debt portfolio, and revenue mobilization difficulties.
Okay. And
so he came out with certain measures, and according to his statement, particularly from paragraph 2 and 3 of the statement, he indicated that they reach these agreements as measures to recover the economy based on some cabinet retreat they had in Pedroasi, in Accra, and elsewhere. Some of the key things they indicated that they would do was that there will be a 10% reduction in the expenditure, in nominal expenditure or concessional expenditure. They also agreed that there will be a 30% cut in the salaries of government appointees, of presidential staffers and ministers of state.
Right.
They also said there will be a 50% reduction in fuel coupons that they give to presidential staffers and ministers and government appointees. In addition to that, they said that they were going to ensure that every item imported to our ports, the appropriate duties will be paid. So they termed it no duty, no exit. In addition, government indicated to us in March that they were also going to streamline borrowing. Again, government said that as part of the measures to recover the dwindling economy, they were going to prioritize only ongoing projects and not cast sought for new ones to be started.
Right.
Finally, government said they were going to ensure that ghost names on the public payroll were going to be expunged. And so I was hoping that right from April this year, these measures will kick in. Indeed, government also said they were not going to buy new vehicles. There was going to be a moratorium on foreign travels. All right? I didn't say these things. Government said these things to us in March this year. So I was hoping that from April this year, the measures will kick in, and that as soon as the media budget was read, media review budget was presented, we entered July, August, September, would have seen the fruits of these measures. Rather, things deteriorated further. Only for the president himself. And mind you, these 24th March measures were issued in the name of the president. Only for the president himself to come up again in November or October, at the end of October 2022, with a new set of measures. So I am asking, what has been the policy outcome? What has been the policy outcome of the policy of ensuring that all imported items into the country, the appropriate duties were paid? We want to know. What is the implication for reducing public expenditure by 30%? Which expenditure lines were affected? We need to know. And what benefit it brought to the economy? We need to know. What is the effect of the moratorium on foreign travel, except the essential ones? As we speak, persons are in Egypt. Supposedly,
you're bringing up the matter of 300.
Yes.
But you've heard the explanation, right?
No. This is very important.
No. I'll let you go ahead. Let me just say this so that when you add up, it includes that. You know that there's been an explanation that not all of those are being funded by government, and that there are NGOs, other groups being funded by the UN, FCCC, and all of that.
If you permit me, last year when they went to Glasgow, in Scotland,
it was a similar number.
That was COP26. That was 337. Government gave similar explanation.
Right.
And we said,
right,
that was totally unacceptable.
And it included NDC members.
Oh, that is immaterial.
It's very material. Say that.
No.
It included members of the NDC.
NDC members are not in government.
In fact, in Egypt now, NDC members are part of the team.
You see, Collins, when you do this, people won't take you seriously.
But let me do this. Let me do this to both of you gentlemen before I bring in Dr. Asah Asante. Before I bring in Dr. Asah Asante on Roxanne. So I just want you to look at this. Yes, he mentioned that members of your party may be in there, but when you look at the numbers, I mean,
I'm making a point.
Hold on.
You eat away my time.
I will not. Okay. I promise not to.
Okay.
I understand when the Minister of Lands and Natural Resources is there, Energy Minister, and a few others who are there. But this contingent, the size of it, Collins, looking at our country, our economy, climate change is a big issue. But does it warrant this number? Regardless of even if it is half of those in there.
But you just made the point.
No, I've made it, but I need to know the other side of it as well. I'll let him come back.
Not all the people over there are not sponsored.
I'm saying
by
it's not all of them.
Yes, they're not sponsored
but even
by
if it's
government.
half of them, that's
how do you know that half of them are sponsored by government?
If you look at the figure, the 150 that was
no, unless you get I don't have the breakdown. If you get the breakdown,
you should have had the breakdown.
No, if you have the breakdown,
what the minister said.
This is what government sponsors.
I'll get it for you. I'll get it for you shortly.
Then that's fine.
But even if it were 100, are you okay with that?
Government?
Yes, 100.
I don't know exactly.
No, I'm saying, you say you were putting, and I'm saying even if it were 100, would you be okay?
That would be a high number.
Okay.
That'll be okay.
Please go ahead.
You see, I'm making this point to feed into the fact that government said this year there will be a moratorium on foreign travels, except the essential ones,
Right.
the statutory ones. Now, somebody tried to explain that they are not using public funds and that they are being sponsored by donor partners and bilateral, through bilateral agreement. And this chief director has forgotten that as part of our budgetary allocations, funds from donor partners are factored in. When we are making budgetary allocation, when the agencies come, they tell you that this year they expect X amount of money from our donor partners. That is factored into the expenditure lines for the year. So that is also part of the public money. It's public funds. Once the donors give us money, that is public funds. We are supposed to apply it reasonably. So she shouldn't say that because it's not the taxpayers' money, the money has come from our foreign partners. They can spend it the way they like.
Is funding these people, you know about the challenges of climate change and what we're going
I'm
through.
aware.
Is it, no, you use the word reasonable. Is
Yes.
it unreasonable?
It's unreasonable to say that for you to attend a global climate change to make a statement of impact, you need 332 people from one country.
322, right.
You understand? It's so unreasonable. It doesn't make economic sense. Because we have ambassadors in Egypt. So we could send a skeletal team from, particularly when last year, this matter brought about a lot of brouhaha.
And I guess when you also consider that, look, the event is from November 6 to November 18.
Yeah.
We don't know how long some of these people will be there. But if you consider per diem, when you consider accommodation, when you consider feeding and all of that,
All those go
quite a
into the expenditure, the level of expenditure on one single seminar, international seminar. But that is just by the by. I'm further asking that when government said they were going to expunge all the ghost names from the payroll to give breather to government, what have they done by October 2022? This was said in March 2022. When government said that they were going to ensure that only ongoing projects will be completed, what has been the effect since March or April this year until October 2022? Between April and October 2022, I have seen the president cast out for more than 10 new projects between that time. So you see, when the NPP says look up, you must look down. When the president says that part of his measures to recover this collapsed economy is to wait for an IMF intervention, that cannot be a measure.
Okay. Right.
When the president says that the measures that he wants to put in place will take effect from about 2028, that cannot be a measure. Because he will not be in office in 2028.
But we must plan into the future, right?
Deal with the matters now, independence now, not tomorrow.
If we're planning for now, it
Somebody
involves tomorrow.
planned for tomorrow. You came to disagree with him. So what is the guarantee that what you are doing, another president will come and agree with you? So do things that are within your term of office. That is what the people want to see.
We'll come back to that because the vote of...
I was going to my final
very
point.
quickly.
They were going to reduce the cost of fuel. We have.
Is it the latest what the president said about?
In March, as part of the economic measures to bring comfort to the people.
There were some reductions, weren't there?
No.
There were reductions by a few pesos.
Oh.
There were reductions.
Can I finish? Now, between April and October 2022, fuel prices have gone up about 60 times. I'm not saying it. This is a report. So that between 2020 and October 2022, fuel has been increased over 104 times. This is a report put out by some lady called Sasu. I can pull the article for you. She did a calculation nearly on weekly basis. So when the government said they were going to reduce the prices of fuel so that they are able to bring comfort to we, the consumers, fuel prices have rather escalated. And we are asking government, the 8 tax components on fuel pricing, price stabilization and debt recovery and all that, why government won't lift at least 3 off the list so that the people can have some comfort? But they won't do it. And yet they said that they will reduce fuel prices. So the measures that the president himself has put out, those 12 measures, are no measures at all.
They are no measures at all. Right. Of course, the president, Dr. Sasanti, the president also talks about import substitution and all of that. I mean, those are crucial areas. I don't even know why we're still here, because we should have been dealt with those situations decades ago. But if we're still here, even on the back of 1D, 1F, it also points to the inadequacies in our system. But we've been talking about, on the finance bit, yes, the censure, but what has led to this situation? We're talking about inflation, which has now hit 40.4%. We're talking about the 322 in Egypt, and how some people say, regardless of the situation, you heard Colin say that even if it were 100, it's still on a high side. And now fuel prices as well. For you, what do you make of all of these happenings? Are we acting in the right ways, looking at the economic situation we find ourselves in?
No. Why am I saying that? There are issues that can be looked at when you want to explain this thing. 3, I want to mention them, how we have arrived here. 1 is through indiscipline. And 2 is what? Lack of prudence in management of state resources. And the third one is policy problems. Look at indiscipline. If you look at the issue of the way we've handled resources in this country, I have no doubt in my mind that we have been very indisciplined in that regard. We are inviting IMF in. IMF will come with 2 things, with resources, and then will ensure that there's a strict compliance to the rules of the game. That tells you that once you call in IMF and they are coming, they will ensure that discipline will work, and that will lift the game for you. If you look at the measures that the president talked about, and then some of the proposals that he made, it tells you that, look, we are indisciplined. We are either indisciplined or we are abusing resources of the state. Look at the issue of, reducing imports and trying to make sure that we make do with what we produce here internally. This is import substitution, which you have already said that we should have dealt with a long time. This issue of policy, all right, it's an issue of policy. If you have any policy which is not working, you have to take a second look at the policy. And there are 3 things that go with that. You either maintain the policy because you have examined and it's good, or you throw the policy away because you think it doesn't worth its salt. Or 3, you look at the policy and realize that there's a need for some re-engineering. In all these things, look at the policies, the economic policy of this country. Is it the case that the government took it seriously and then examined them, evaluated them, and then decided that they will improve upon it?
Right.
The performance that we are seeing now, the results, tells me that that was not done. And anytime people talk about that, the president praises his minister. They are doing excellent work. Is that the excellent result that we are seeing? If your ministers are performing and so high, why would you go to IMF, which we know that going there are a lot of conditions that will not inure necessarily to our benefit and all that, right? Look at the issue of corruption, all right? The Transparency International report is there for all of us to see, from 2017 when the president assumed office up to today, right. All right? The highest in terms of better performance that this country has done is about 43%. And let us remember that the closer you are to 0 on their scale, it means that you have not managed corruption very well. Today, that has 2021, corruption is pegged at 43% on the Transparency International scale. It tells you that you are closer to what? zero. And once you are closer, you are not managing corruption well. Look at the issue of waste in the system, and evidence can be seen in Auditor General reports. We have also seen the area of what corruption, that we have not dealt with it head on. All these things put together has brought us where we are now. I believe that, yes, it is a good thing to go to the IMF because we have no option than to go there and make sure that we get some breather and come and right the wrongs. But my worry is that anytime we get a little breather, we are likely to throw away the policies that are able to put us at the right frame. Right, that is my worry. So all the talk about the economy will do this, it is my hope and prayer that we'll do them. But that we have to be very careful that when we become stable, we don't throw them away. Otherwise, we go back to square one.
And you make an interesting point there. And I am happy that this is happening now, because if it does, we saw what happened the last time we went to the IMF and an electoral year. Interestingly, our spending was reduced. You know, we were able to do quite a lot, and that was a good thing, because in election years or electoral years, we tend to spend a lot. And we saw what happened from 2014 to 2016 when the elections were held. So I'm hoping that maybe this time it will impact election 2024 and spending will be curbed. We will not see some of the outrageous, absurd spending on government's books that we tend to see. But let me come back quickly into the studio. Collins. So there's this vote of censure situation that is being brought forth. The minority started it. I mean, especially after you, the majority MPs, 80 of you, had said, listen, things must change. Something must happen. The finance minister must go. If not, we're not going to attend to government business on the floor of parliament and all of that. There was a resolution, aka interacting with, Mr. President, who said, give me some time. Let him deliver the budget statement and all that. Let the debates happen. But there was nothing concrete about what would happen after that. So people have been asking, look, is that to say after he delivers the budget statement and all of that, he will step aside? We still don't know. We don't have clarity on that. Recently, the majority leader said that all of you are now behind his ousting as a majority side. What then do you make of this vote of censure, which the minority has forcefully put forward?
Well, you've just reiterated our position very, very clearly. 80 of our members had a press conference, called on the president to make some changes at the finance ministry. Subsequently, there was a caucus meeting. The caucus then decided that we go to speak to the president with one voice. And the voice was that caucus was behind the initial call by the 80. So as the majority leader said, it's now a caucus decision. It's not about 80 people or 90 people. The caucus wants some changes at the finance ministry. We met the president, and the president then also put a request to us that based on the timing, he requests that the finance minister present the budget and then probably appropriation, and then we revisit this issue about changes at the ministry. What is important is that the president did not object to our request. All he said was that he also put in a counter request. So that is our roadmap. Our roadmap is that an understanding we have with the president is that, yes, the finance minister will come to parliament, present his budgets, and then subsequently we revisit the issue of changes at the ministry. This censure motion is the NDC's strategy to get some changes at the finance ministry. As a party,
so it is not the majority strategy?
It's not a majority strategy. The end point is the same, but that is not our strategy. And it's very clear based on the communique from our party hierarchy that we are not going to be part of this particular censure motion. Our strategy to have changes at the ministry is the dialogue we had with our president, is the press conference we had, is the position of the majority, and we intend to go through that particular process. We are not prepared to fall for the NDC's censure motion. That is their strategy. As to whether to...
Do you think it is wrong?
No, they have the right to do so. It's constitutional. If they feel that something is happening and they want some changes, they can go through that process. Our only departure is that the processes they want to use in getting changes at the ministry is different from ours. We have made ours very clear. We had a press conference as a caucus. We've made our point very clear. We've met our president. We've had some agreement with the president. So be it. We are going to go according to the timetable that we had with the president. The minority's decision to have a censure, that is their strategy. And as the communique from our party said, we are not going to be part of this particular censure.
Some have said, even this morning, interacting with Kina Likimani of Odikro, and in previous conversations with her, that your position as a majority has failed and will continue to fail because you especially when you backed down the first time after having interacted with Mr. President, it meant that, from all intents, according to Kina Likimani, there's no intent for Mr. President to oust Ken Ofori-Atta. So this is just another game that will.
I didn't get that impression. I didn't get that impression when we met the president.
So what impression exactly did you get?
The president did not dismiss our request. He did not. He did not say, no, I'm not going to sack the minister. I'm not going to have any changes at the ministry. He said yes. He also listens. He has heard what Ghanaians and other people are talking about. All he requested for was that at this crucial moment of the negotiation and the budget preparation, we should allow the minister to present the budget.
So when exactly do we see the back of Ken Ofori-Atta then? If he's admitted that Ghanaians want to see the back of Ken Ofori-Atta, in other words, to see him go.
The president.
When is that?
The president was clear. We should allow him to finish his budget preparation and budget presentation, probably after the appropriation. We revisit the issue. We don't want to fall for the NDC strategy. It's as simple as that.
So revisiting the issue, revisiting that issue, there is no clear time. It could be at the end of next year. It could be anything, and no one knows.
The impression I got from the president when we met him, and the impression I'm getting from the rank and file of our party, is that after this, some changes will happen. And we are not prepared to fall for the NDC. They can go for their style.
So you are in agreement that Ken should go, all of you, according to what the majority leader has said.
That is the position of the majority.
But
that is the position of the majority.
You will not participate in a vote of censure.
We will not.
All right.
That's the position of the majority.
So let me come to Roxanne then, because when you look at Article 82 on the vote of censure or a motion of censure, it says Parliament may, by a resolution supported by the votes of not less than 2/3 of all the members of Parliament, pass a vote of censure on a Minister of State. A motion for the resolution referred to in Clause 1 of this article shall not be moved in Parliament unless A, 7 days notice has been given, B, I'm shortening some of them, the notice for the motion has been cited by not less than 1/3 of all the members of Parliament. The motion shall be debated in Parliament within 14 days after the receipt by the Speaker. A Minister of State in respect of whom a vote of censure is debated under Clause 3 of this article is entitled during the debate to be heard in his defense. Where a vote of censure is passed against the minister under this article, the president may, unless the minister resigns from his office, revoke his appointment as a minister. And finally, for the avoidance of doubt, this article applies to a deputy minister as it applies to a minister of state. But when you look at the first point, by a resolution supported by the votes of not less than 2/3, you don't have 2/3 in Parliament. Why are you pushing this? Is it not a wild goose chase
at all?
The minority is embarking on.
Now, let the record reflect that the NDC, from about 2018, have been calling on the president to dismiss the finance minister.
Right.
And this position had been re-echoed by the Honorable Ezekiel Adongo on many occasions.
2018.
2018, on many occasions, by the ranking member, Dr. Atu Forsen, on many occasions, by myself, by other members who get the opportunity to speak. Now, when the president got his second term and had to reappoint some persons, the current finance minister was reappointed. He was sick at the time of his reappointment. It took him about 3 weeks. The whole country had to wait for him to come back, for him to be vetted specially.
But sickness is not a bar. And when he got, when he contracted COVID, just to make a point, when he contracted COVID, of course, these things you cannot predetermine. I also remember that the majority leader
I didn't even say what sort of sickness it was.
Oh, no, I mean, but he contracted a sickness.
He put out an official statement that he was going to seek for medical attention.
Right.
All right. Now, in the Constitution, Medical grounds is one of the bases upon which you can be removed from office. If you cannot perform as a result of some medical problem.
You mentioned he was only away for 3 weeks.
I said he was away for 3 weeks. We had to wait for him to return, to be vetted specially. Parliament doesn't do that. Parliament was made to wait. In any other country, another person would have been nominated. It didn't happen. You recall that was why the budget had to be presented by the majority leader.
I was just about to remind you that he had to do that. So someone, in fact, was nominated.
No, not nominated as a finance minister.
Oh, you mean
But
to
he
replace...
was then a minister of state.
Right.
So within our constitutional architecture, any minister of state could act instead of the substantive if it's able to carry out the functions of office. All this we were told. Anytime we call for the dismissal of Oriata, we were told by the majority that he was the best thing that ever happened to this republic. That he was the best finance minister this country ever had. They told us in Parliament. During the e-levy, they won't let us sleep. They told us that the introduction of e-levy was everything. It was the panacea to everything. E-levy came and collapsed. What they expected didn't happen. They shouted that they don't go to IMF. Today, they have a cup in hand and they are before IMF. You have called a press conference, and he was among the 12 who faced the media.
I was not at the press conference.
You were not there.
No.
I thought I spotted you.
No, I was not.
Okay, I withdraw that. 12 of them faced the media.
Right.
And told the media that unless their president removes the finance minister, they were not going to cooperate. They called. Look, to call for a press conference is such a serious matter. Unless he's sitting here and telling us that to hold press conference is just a child's play.
We have not backed down on that.
You have.
We have not.
Can I finish? I was quiet. You told the whole world that you were calling on your president, on your government to remove your finance minister and one other minister of state at the Ministry of Finance.
Edubuahin.
The Honorable Edubuahin. Some of us are even adding the governor of the central bank.
And I was about to get to that, but since you've already gone there,
you understand.
Interestingly, I think he was voted recently, I think, one of the best
He's
governors on the continent of Africa.
Any institution that will vote Dr. Addison as one of the best in anything is not serious, given the kind of indicators we have in this country.
Really?
It should be removed. Now, in that press conference, you told the whole world that you had some other 80, in fact, you were about 80, that the group that was holding the press conference at the time, was the representative of the 80. It generated some internal turmoil that morning. But somehow, the leader of the House and the majority leader, and the leader of your caucus, and the leader of the House, put out a statement that the initial position by the 80 MPP MPs has now metamorphosed into the position of the majority group.
That is the entirety of
That is the entirety of the MPP MPs in Parliament, or the majority group, because there's an independent person, member of Parliament, doing business with them. That is how serious the matter has become. Any serious government should have acted on this position. Then you come back, then your party writes to you and say that the constitutional provision which gives the look, if you call a press conference, it is a mere declaration of intention.
Let's
hold on.
I get that point.
Let me finish.
It's been made clear.
Let me finish.
It's not anything you can just play with. But the point is, the point, Roxanne, is that they are saying the approach you want to take is not the approach they want.
No, but you asked this
stance.
question, so let me address it. A press conference is not the process to ensure the removal of a minister of state. It is not. It is a mere declaration of intention. So if you were truly minded to carry out your intent, your declared intent, that you want the minister removed, it is Article 82 that gives you the procedure. They won't do it. Now we have gone ahead to carry out our long-standing call to have the minister removed and file the proper motion as enshrining the Constitution. Then you chicken out and say that you won't support us. You are not deceiving anybody. You haven't deceived the people.
What then do you think this was? Because they went, if Mr. President hadn't, intervened,
Yes,
they would have carried out their threat of not, entertaining government business. So are you suggesting what they did was a mere charade? I want clarity on that.
It was more than a charade. It was more than a mere charade. It was actually deceitful. To say that, look, for the president to even say that, okay, give me time for me to carry out your position, shows that you meant what you had declared.
But they must also be a listening caucus, right?
Of course.
You don't adopt a situation or...
Of course.
Or
you think
a position where you
think
never
they
take.
just woke up one day and held that press conference. It didn't happen out of the blue. There have been discussions.
Okay.
And the discussions have collapsed. That is why they came out openly.
Okay. I mean, this is clear.
So I am saying that the only provision in the Constitution that allows you to carry out what you are supposed to do as a member of parliament is to file a motion.
Let me ask you a quick question so I can move on to Doc as well. How do you mean to execute this? You need 2/3 of parliament. They say on block they are not going along with you. It means you don't have 2/3 of parliament.
We may not have 2/3, but the people of the Republic of Ghana will see the NPP for who they are.
So you admit that, you're going to fail on this one?
Sorry?
You're going to fail on this one?
We may fail. As you speak, I've cited the letter from their Secretary General asking them by way of a 3-line whip to abstain from the process. We'll go ahead as the minority caucus and vote. And let the record bear us out that we filed a motion of censure, we voted, and we got defeated. That the people who held a press conference and followed it up with a public statement that they were truly of the strongest intent to have the government remove the finance minister. When it got to the business of making sure that the finance minister got removed through a motion of censure, they recede from it.
I have a quick question for you, Collins. I know you have a reaction. These kinds of votes, how are they conducted? You remember the Speaker of Parliament, selecting a speaker and what happened?
I think it's by secret vote.
Yes.
Yeah, secret
ballot.
So secret ballot.
Yes.
Are you afraid that maybe, yes, you may have this position as the majority, but like we saw when Speaker Bagbin was actually elected, maybe some of your members would be swayed?
My brother used some very, very strong words to us as a party, that we are deceiving Ghanaians, let Ghanaians know that.
Yes, I'm truly disappointed.
Okay, in 2000, he says, as far back as 2018,
right,
they started calling for the removal of the finance minister. Then we won election. And then in 2021, the president renominated the finance minister.
Right.
What happened during his approval?
And that's the point to be made.
I'm coming.
No.
He's made a point.
No, I'm giving you what happened because
he's
there's
talking
no
about
message here.
deceit. He's talking about deceit. From 2018, when he says they were calling for the removal of the finance minister, in 2021, there was a consensus approval.
Yes.
Which included the members of the NDC. Let Ghanaians also know. Let Ghanaians also know who is deceiving them.
Your side was part
Who is
of
deceiving
the
them?
group that cleared the
You
finance
cleared the finance minister. You were there.
Now
you are here talking about we deceiving Ghanaians.
Now, can I finish?
No, let
me finish.
Let him finish.
You said we are deceitful and then we take a position and we shift.
Yes.
What happened in 2021? What happened?
I will rebut.
What about a consensus approval of the finance minister? The same finance minister. The same person that you've been chanting that you should go from 2018. You did not have the courage. You did not. You approved him by consensus. It was on the floor. We all debated. It was a consensus approval. Where is the honesty? Where is the honesty? That today you are rather coming to this big platform and calling the MPP deceitful.
Collins, thank you for the point. Where is your honesty? What is your locus in this?
My honesty lies in the fact that the president came to Parliament to say that we should give him another opportunity to salvage the economy. We should give him the opportunity to rely on the same.
If you were vehemently opposed to the finance minister and you felt that he could not salvage the economy, why would you clear him?
Hold on. You give people a second chance. In this world, you give people a second chance.
So the minority decided to give Ken Ofori-Atta a second chance.
No, the president told us that he wants to keep the team that he was using. and that we should give him a second chance because we're all in a COVID situation. We're recovering from a COVID economy, a COVID ravaged economy.
Are you saying that you approve the finance minister because the president said we are in the COVID economy?
What did the president say? What did the president say?
And then you are not principled.
I'm principled.
You are not principled.
Oh, no.
Then as a party, you are not principled.
We are principled.
You are not.
We are principled.
You sit here and call the MPP
Yes, you are
But you in 2018, you are calling for the minister to go, but you come back to parliament to approve the same person.
No,
and you're talking about
I am saying your father.
And you're saying that you approve the minister because the president said you are in COVID.
Hold on.
Is that your reason?
Didn't the president say that?
But is that your reason?
Didn't the president
hold on, gentlemen.
Is that your reason?
Didn't the president?
Hold on, gentlemen.
Is that your reason?
Didn't the president say that?
Roxton and Collins. I have a question.
So you didn't have any point after
Didn't the president say
Gentlemen.
Free second chance. Free second chance. You are saying that we are deceitful.
Yes.
And that we made a point and you have turned around.
Yes.
I am saying you are more deceitful.
No, we are not.
Hold on. Collins, hold on. Hold on.
It's so Korea.
I'm not taking any submission.
So Korea asked you to give a second
consensus. To approve
Hold on.
All right, I'm going to turn off your microphones if we continue like this.
You cannot call us deceitful.
We'll turn off your microphones if you.
When you were talking, I was quiet.
Hold on.
I was quiet.
Roxton, hold on. We are all V-mates here. Let's just do this.
Don't be unruly this morning.
V-mates.
Sharp.
All right, let's do this. I just have a quick question. He says in life you must give a second chance to people. I understand what you're saying. You were mooting that the finance minister go.
Yes.
I understand both of you from different angles, but I'd like to find out if they had played hardball at that time, that is the minority, how would you have taken it?
I don't know how I would have taken it. I'm getting confused with the question.
Because
very clear question.
You're saying
on the other end, you could have also said that they were being intransigent.
That we should give this man a second chance.
Oh, but then you see, you came here and said that we are deceitful.
Yes,
because we've taken a position and changed our position. And I'm saying that you can't say so with your record.
I can say so.
You can't.
Okay,
let me
finish.
You have 30 seconds. You didn't allow me to.
You can't say so.
You didn't allow me to finish.
You can't say so.
Now,
30 seconds.
I am saying so because the finance minister has not called the majority caucus that please give me a second chance. He hasn't said so. He hasn't told them that. He's been quiet.
So now you approve the finance minister in 2021 because the president said because of COVID.
Didn't your president say that?
Is that what he's saying?
No, he said we should.
The basis to approve the finance minister is because of COVID.
Let's land so I can.
He said we have a COVID ravaged economy.
So you should keep the finance minister.
Thank you.
And so that was the
And so we agree with
Dr. Asante. Let me bring
and the man has performed words.
I see you smiling. I know you have a whole lot. Go ahead, shoot.
Yes. It is getting interesting, but there is one thing that is clear. That listening to the MP, I get the impression, and it ties up to the statement by the General Secretary that members should not take part in the voting. I am disappointed in this. Why am I disappointed? Because the 80 people who came out, they came out strongly that there is something wrong, that they thought that the minister would have been able to salvage the economy. For as he being the officer at the forefront of the implementation of any policy regarding to the economy, he should have done that. So on that basis, they wanted him out. And then they met the president, and the rest of the story, we know them too clearly not to repeat them here.
Right.
But I am disappointed in the sense that, look, you brought everybody's hope high, that you have found something within your party which is not, palatable, that managers of the economy are not doing well, especially the finance minister. So you want him to go. That resonated with the views of most people in this country. And I said, yes, thumbs up. All right. Then in no time, you turn around and saying that, yes, you met the president and the president has spoken to you and all that. I agree that you have a leader, that is the president. So yes, since governance is about dialogue, you dialogue and then this is the position. All right. Now, you also came back to tell us through the majority leader that, look, it's not even the 80 people alone, but that all the members of the MPP side are in support of that position. That strengthens your position. That, look, anytime you get opportunity, you kick the minister. And that this is the opportunity that the MDC present to you. That, yes, all that you have been dreaming of, all that you are hoping for yourself, this is the time. And the time now, you want to back up. all right, and then you describe it that it's not part of your strategy. I don't have a problem with that. But the reality is that the economy is in crisis. The reality is that voters normally stand on the economy as one of the important variables in deciding who they want to renew the mandate in terms of governance or give their mandate to.
Right.
So I think that the MPP will not be oblivious of this fact, and that all the things that have brought us here, which I've already recounted them, the issue of indiscipline is what is one of the factors that has brought us here. Because if we're disciplined enough, we'll be able to check corruption, we'll be able to right all the wrongs, and then we will not call in IMF. The issue of what policy failure is another thing which I have talked about, and that they have to consider it so seriously, because all the issues we're talking about, the economy didn't do this, inflation, that these are policy failures that, for me, the government did not take serious note of. Because if you have a failure in inflation, or inflation is getting very high, then it tells you what is the economic management team doing, because they are part of what the supervisors of the policy implementation.
Right.
If the policy itself is failing, then you ask yourself, has cabinet and the president taking that matter up? Because policy emanates from the head of state with the support of cabinet. So what is cabinet also doing? All these three groups, the cabinet, plus the president, plus economic management team, and then the finance ministry, they have a responsibility to make sure that they bring this economy back to life. It is something the president has promised us that, yes, if we lose people, we can bring them to life.
Okay.
But the economy, if there's something wrong, this is the time that we want the president and his team of ministers and all that to deal with this thing head on for us. The issue about, you said this, you did not say that, the reality will dawn on all of us very soon.
Okay.
That there are issues when you take such a strong position. There are also instances where you need the support on the other side, that they don't be surprised when they disappoint you. We have also seen in the NDC where the government showed goodwill, that I'm going to with the MMDC issue, NDC at the last minute, shaken out. And, in politics, is the issue of paying back people doesn't help anybody. If we are serious about building the state, all that we need is consensus. What is not good is not good. It's not the case that maybe the Mr. President said that maintain this man that you are maintaining. You are maintaining on a sound reason that he's fit for the job. That is all that we need. That is why we need the body that scrutinizes who becomes a minister and all that.
Right.
So all in all that I want to say is that we are watching. The people of this country who give them the mandate are watching, and that whatever they take, posterity will judge them, and voters will not hesitate to punish them or reward them, given the situation on the ground.
I want us to wrap this conversation in 30 seconds. So just this comment. Professor Peter Quartey of ISA at the University of Ghana says the e-levy should be reduced to 0.5%. Are you in agreement? What do you think, Doc?
That has been my position. Economists and financial experts have said that we needed to purge it between 0.5 and 1. And I supported that one from day one, because you can never run any meaningful society without the state generating resources to run its affairs. I was, in support of e-levy. But the government took a different position, and that has brought us this way. Let me add something to it.
Very briefly, Doc. Very briefly.
They should bring back the toll booth system. That little resources that we are losing, we can also bring them to the kitty. We need all together to make our system.
Thank you for that point. Collins? 0.5%.
Yes, I'm in support of that. In fact, I've articulated that to colleagues of mine. 0.5% or 1%, then take out the limitations or the restrictions. So that
it's not just 100 cedis and above, as in above 100 cedis.
Yes, so we take out the restrictions and bring the rates down. That will bring in more revenue. That has been my point. But there's something very interesting here, and he's a lawyer.
Collins, we have to go.
Where a vote of censure is passed against a minister under this article, the president may, unless the minister resigns his office, revoke his appointment as a minister.
It will still come back to Mr. President.
So it will still come back to Mr. President, which is the point we are making.
Point made.
Which is the point we are making.
Let's go straight to 0.5. Do you agree? 0.5%. Do you agree?
0.5. First of all, let me rebut something Prof said.
Roxanne, we don't have the
we
time.
have time.
We don't have the time.
Please.
No, I'm sorry. We don't have the time. This is a show. We had other things to discuss.
Giving me time, I would have. He said
you've had more time than anybody
he
else.
said NDC chicken out during the proposal for the election of the MMDCs. It's not correct. NDC said, pursuant to our constitutional architecture, as unit committee members are not supposed to be involved partisanly. And the MPP's proposal was that political parties should be involved.
All right, thank you for the
That's
clarity.
what we disagree.
Thank you for the clarity.
So we just didn't chicken out.
Do you agree with 0.5%?
We didn't want political parties to participate.
Do you agree with 0.5% e-levy?
That's what we proposed.
All right, that's fine.
And they disagree. We even proposed 1%. They disagreed.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Interesting, that point you made, Collins. In the end, it will still get back to Mr. President. Let me say a very big thank you to Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante, who is a political scientist at the University of Ghana, also the director for the Center for European Studies, as well as Collins Adomako-Mensah, member of Parliament for Ifija-Kwabre North, member of the Finance Committee of Parliament, and Roxanne Nelson Dafiamekpo, member of Parliament South Dying, also a member of the Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee of Parliament. Do stay with us. There's a lot more coming by way of conversation on the AM show. We'll also be engaging the Ghana Education Trust Fund. How is the GET Fund faring? How's the fund helping to make Ghana's educational system better? More on that after the break. Do stay with us.